This meeting is called to order. This work session, regular meeting of the Township Council is called to order. In accordance with Section 5, the Open Public Meeting Act, Chapter 231, Public Law 1975, be advised that adequate notice of this work session, regular meeting of the Township Council of the Township of Franklin, County of Somerset, was made by posting on the bulletin board at the municipal complex and transmitted to the officially designated newspapers a list of dates annually indicating that this work session regular meeting would take place at the Franklin Township Municipal Complex at 7 p.m. on Tuesday, April 11, 2017. In addition, a copy of this notice is and has been available to the public and is on file in the office of the municipal clerk. If we could all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing for the invocation led by Councilman Theodore Chase.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it is one nation.
May those assembled here today enjoy the many offerings of our May we abide by the rules we have established, those of trust, fellowship, and ethics, and may we place service above self in our daily endeavors. And may we always test ourselves and our efforts to be sure they are the truth, good for all concerned, of benefit to mankind, and provide peace and understanding. Amen.
Madam Master Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilman Chase.
Here.
Councilwoman Francois. Mayor Kramer.
Here.
Councilman Oni Jaka.
Here.
Councilman Prasad.
Here.
Councilwoman Robinson.
Here.
Councilwoman Sherman.
Here.
Councilman Vasanella.
Here.
Deputy Mayor Wright.
Thank you. We are now on to commendations and proclamations. The first one was to honor the Tournament of Champions, our Franklin High School girls varsity team, who are, of course, the best in the state. Unfortunately, we made those plans, but this is the week that the school has a holiday. And if anyone, I will take the blame for poor coordination, but they shall be here. I did talk to the assistant coach, and they shall be here on April 25th. I'm very much looking forward to that. So we're on to commendation proclamation B, the 40th anniversary Adult Day Center of Somerset County. Do we have anyone here to receive the proclamation?
Where is that? 20th anniversary.
I'll get one.
You're the only adult.
You're the only adult among us.
It is in your ward.
I'll be there.
Okay, so the proclamation reads, whereas the Adult Daycare Center of Somerset County is a nonprofit agency committed to providing high-quality, affordable daycare services for disabled and elderly residents of Somerset County. And whereas the mission of the Adult Daycare Center of New Jersey is to provide extraordinary daycare services for the disabled and elderly residents of Somerset County and support for caregiving families. And whereas each year, many frail, disabled, and elderly are institutionalized prematurely or unnecessarily due to the lack of affordable quality care in Somerset County. And whereas the Adult Daycare Center was started in 1976 in a Boundbrook church basement as a response to this problem. And whereas since its inception in 1976, the center has grown and its vision has provided the opportunity for the frail, disabled, and elderly to live out their lives with dignity and independence. And whereas thousands of individuals have been able to remain at home with their families and attend the adult daycare center instead of being institutionalized. And whereas the service provided by the adult daycare center of Somerset County include, yet are not limited to, therapeutic activities, daily exercise programs, nursing and personal care, physical therapy, occupational therapy, consultant, pharmacy, entertainment, and outings. And whereas thousands of caregivers have been supported during their caregiving journey and selfless mission of helping their loved ones age in place. And whereas these services are designed to fully engage disabled and elderly residents of Somerset County in the human experience to the furthest extent possible. Now, therefore, I, Philip Kramer, Mayor of the Township of Franklin, Somerset County, do hereby recognize the 40th anniversary of the adult daycare of Somerset County. The value of the Adult Daycare Center of Somerset County provides to those they serve, and via this proclamation recognize the need to raise awareness of this valuable organization to the residents of Franklin Township. Having just been handed this, I really haven't much knowledge of this organization. It's obviously an enormously important service. Having some disabled members of my own family, having an organization like this is invaluable. And those of us who don't have that need don't realize how important it is to the caregivers and to the people themselves, not being isolated and being able to get out and socialize. I think we need to do more to let people know that we have such an organization right here. So I'm very proud to have been asked to read this proclamation.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Councilman Vasanella, the 25th anniversary of Central Jersey Housing Resource Center.
Thank you, Mayor.
Is there anyone here to receive that? Come on up.
In a way, this actually somewhat indirectly connected with what Councilwoman Sherman just read, because not only is housing initiatives to help people that otherwise wouldn't be able to afford with affordable housing and help others understanding financial literacy and how it affects buying a home or staying in your home or your rights as a landlord, etc. A lot of times housing issues are dealing with people who want to stay in their house, who have been there for decades and decades, and because of limited income, sometimes are forced to leave. So that adult daycare, it is significant and does actually overlap. But here is a proclamation. We've honored specific housing initiatives here, and we've won awards in Franklin for some of our programs in the past I've been proud to be part of. But this is overall acknowledging what the county's been acknowledging yearly for many years, and that's April and how it plays into some of the anniversaries of housing initiatives in this country. So, whereas the Franklin Township Council finds that decent, safe, and affordable housing is part of the American dream and a goal of all Franklin Township residents, and whereas April 2017 marks the 49th anniversary of the passage of the Fair Housing Act of 1968, which gives individuals the right to choose where to live without discrimination based on race, color, religion, age, gender, familial status, national origin, and/or disability. And whereas to commemorate the anniversary of the passage of the Fair Housing Act, the concept of Housing Month has been celebrated each April by the freeholders of Somerset County for the past 25 years, and now is being celebrated for the first time by the Township of Franklin to focus on the talents and vigorous local efforts of grassroots and nonprofit organizations, housing service providers, elected officials, state and county agencies, and others to promote and preserve fair housing while helping to create and preserve housing opportunities for the residents of Franklin Township in Somerset County. Now, therefore, we, James Vasanella, Councilman, and Philip Kramer, Mayor of Franklin Township, New Jersey, do hereby proclaim the month of April 2017 to be Housing Month in the Township of Franklin and the County of Somerset, and urge all citizens to carry out the activities and spirit of Housing Month throughout the year. Sharon Clark is here from Central Jersey Housing Resource Center, which isn't the only, but I believe one of the largest organizations that handles housing issues and affordable housing needs and administration for Franklin Township. Gets involved with everything from Habitat to Humanity to making sure affordable housing gets properly, people get properly put into affordable housing if they qualify, et cetera, besides holding many clinics. So really, like I say, there are other groups, but Central Jersey Housing Resource Center, and for full disclosure, I'm a volunteer board member, does a lot of that for Franklin. I'm going to let Sharon just speak for a moment here. Here's your, thank you. Here's
So I just want to say thank you very much. We would like people to focus on the needs of low and moderate income people. Housing is, of course, one of the main things that people need to feel secure and safe. I'm very proud of all the work that Franklin Township does. I just actually came from an event at Magyar Bank, and I was talking to Buster Soares, and I know more is going to be built in a certain area in Franklin. And again, they always do everything from, I had a meeting with Habitat, so they do everything from group homes to senior housing to housing of all different types, the low and moderate income program. And I just got to say that a lot of people are extremely grateful for all the hard work of the council and that all the things that Franklin has accomplished over the years. We're proud that they're our partner and that they do such a fabulous job to recognize this need for their residents.
Thank you, Sharon. And that group really deserves a round of applause for the efforts they do. And the mayor comment, but there's a lot of people take housing for granted. And it's usually, you don't think about it until you're in a position. And it's not just people with low incomes, it's people of all incomes, it's people from all walks of life. For certain things happen in your life that affect your situation, and you can find yourself out of a home or not understanding the legal process of buying your first home, et cetera. So these services are invaluable. And if you know of anybody who needs them, they can go to Central Jersey Housing Resource Center, or they can call the clerk, and there may be other agencies that she can refer them to, or social services. Thank you very much. Mayor?
Thank you, Councilman. Clearly, food, safe food, clean water, shelter, and health care are things that everyone needs, and I'm proud to be involved with a government that is involved in providing. Next item is, April is Child Abuse Prevention Month, and we have a proclamation.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It is indeed an honor and privilege to read for you today this proclamation for April is Child Abuse Prevention Month. Proclamation, unbeknownst to the mayor, actually just became involved in a group or organization of parents against bullied and abused kids, and sometimes we focus on those that are being abused and bullied, and we forget those that do the bullying as well. They need support, not understanding and knowing why they do bully and abuse other kids, and adults even for that matter, that abuse kids. Whereas we all have a responsibility as individuals, neighbors, community members, and citizens of the Township of Franklin to help create healthy, nurturing, and safe experiences for children. And whereas healthy and safe childhoods help produce confident and successful adults, and whereas child abuse and neglect often occur when people find themselves in stressful situations without community resources and don't know how to cope, and whereas incidences of child abuse and neglect can be reduced by making sure all families have the support they need and deserve to raise their children in a healthy environment, and whereas it is recognized that no person can do everything, but everyone can do something, and together we can create change for the better. And whereas effective prevention programs succeed because of partnerships among nonprofit organizations, government agencies, volunteer organizations, schools, service clubs, houses of worship, law enforcement agencies, and the business community. And whereas display a pinwheel or planting a pinwheel garden in April will serve as a positive reminder that all children deserve great childhoods, happy, healthy, and safe. Now, therefore, Philip Kramer, Mayor, do hereby proclaim April 2017 as Child Abuse Prevention Month in the Township of Franklin, and I urge all citizens to engage in activities that strengthen families and communities to provide the optimal environment for children to learn, grow, and thrive so that all children have the benefit of happy, healthy, and safe childhoods. Signed on this day, April 11, 2017, Philip Kramer, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman. The next item is public discussion. Do I have a motion to open to the public?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded, seeing no discussion on that. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion is carried. We are now open for public discussion. Each person may come up only once, 5 minutes per person, no yielding of time. Please state your name and address. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, council members, I'm Carol Keene. I live at 4291 Route 27, Princeton, New Jersey. And I'm a member of the Franklin Township Task Force on the compressor station and the NESC project. As of this afternoon, the following Franklin Township departments have applied to the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission to become interveners in the Northeast Supply Enhancement Project proposed by Williams Transcontinental, which, in addition to adding another 32 miles of pipeline in New Jersey and a new pipeline under Raritan Bay, intends to build a 32,000 horsepower natural gas compressor station in Franklin Township. The departments that have registered so far are Franklin Township as a municipality under our township manager's direction, Economic Development Office, the Engineering Department, the Fire Prevention Department, the Construction Department, and the Office of Emergency Management and Police Department. Please excuse me if I've inadvertently left any departments off the list. The members of the Franklin Township Task Force concerning Compressor Station 206 and the Northeast Supply Enhancement Project would like to extend our appreciation to these departments for taking action, and we would like to encourage others to follow their lead. We would also like to thank the mayor, council members, and other township officials who have individually registered as interveners, and strongly appeal to those who have not yet done so to file a motion to intervene as soon as possible. The deadline, not only for becoming an intervener, but also for filing comments based on Williams Transco's application for this project to FERC, is April 27th at 5 o'clock p.m. Once they have filed motions to intervene, individuals, municipalities, municipal departments, and other groups can submit meaningful comments based on the information in Williams Transco's application, which is available on the FERC website, ferc.gov, that is relevant to their concerns. For example, comments can discuss information, omissions, inconsistencies, inaccuracies, data which causes alarm, a need for more details, and other demands that FERC and Williams Transco will need to respond to in their upcoming draft environmental impact survey. Instructions on how to become an intervener are available to the public on the Franklin Township website under Latest Township News and titled Sign Up to be an Intervener in the Northeast Supply Enhancement Project. Again, the deadline for these actions is only 2 weeks away, April 27th at 5 p.m. Thanks again to those who have become involved in this process, and we appeal to those who have not yet to become engaged. The proposed compressor station is a huge industrial facility that will impact the health, safety, and well-being of township residents and those who work and visit here, as well as affecting the air, water, and other environmental factors in our township. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Benjamin Guy, 35 Patton Drive. I got a couple of things that I actually want to some more point of information about. One is I always wondered why for a lot of the subcommittees that we actually have, why don't we have documentation that the public can view for a lot of subcommittees that we actually have behind the scenes meetings on? So I would ask that question and say, where's that posted at? Because when I checked, there was no postings of certain subcommittees that we actually have meetings on. So I would like to know exactly where's that postings at.
Are you
That's-
talking about the council subcommittees?
Council subcommittees, Parks and Rec, everything else. There's certain things that are not posted. So again, from a committee standpoint, if you want me to get a list, I will give it to Mr. Von Locker.
Well, standing committees are not public meetings, so I think that's why the mayor was referring to it. So standing committees of council, which are detailed in the township code, there's a number of them, are not public meetings, so they're not advertised because they're not open to the public. They're work session meetings for council members and staff. As far as the advisory rec council meetings, they are posted like any other any other public meetings. They're on our township website. I believe they're posted on the bulletin board outside behind you.
Okay.
As well.
And they're also in the Franklin
And they're
Times.
also in the Franklin Times.
Well, referring to the Franklin Times. So again, the meeting minutes are not posted here or anything else, but there are high-level meetings that are actually posted. So that sort of clarifies some of the statements that are actually made behind the scenes about it. So that's one thing. The second thing is Parks and Rec, because we're coming out in the summer with the kids, and you guys released the Franklin Times itself. I just want to know potentially from last year to this year, and I'll probably get the statistic from Alice Sipowicz altogether about how many kids you actually serve. Because based on the population density, I'm real big on how the growth has been for the schools and everything else, and serving these kids as much as possible. Because we always complain about them creating crime, but we don't provide enough service for them to actually stay out of trouble at all. So that is one thing that I'm always really adamant about. I just want to know statistically wise, what are we looking at trying to serve this summer altogether? And then because I see certain activities that are going to be offered in more of the wards across the county itself, or I mean across the township. I just want to know exactly what the projections are and what the township is expected to handle. So you guys might not have that answer, but I'll ask Alice directly. But I just want to put that out from a public standpoint, and also from a sponsorship-wise, when the Parks and Rec do these programs, are they just for Franklin Township residents, or is there other? Because some of the kids that actually go to charter schools or anything else that are around here, some of them are not Franklin Township residents. Are they offered to actually go in here, go into some of these programs at all? So I will ask that to Alice Sipowicz also, but I just want to know whether or not you guys knew off the top of your head. The other thing is about economic development, which I'm really adamant about, is that I just want to know when, for specifically to Mr. Vornlocker, is that when exactly you would expect the actual time to be finished from as far as where his report would be done, and then also for the economic development as a whole. Are we just going to stick to a plan of action like we do with the master plan, or are we actually going to have a committee that's going to be appointed to the economic development?
There already is a committee by ordinance. It's the Economic Development Committee.
Yeah, but to execute the plan is a difference.
It's a standing committee of council, and it's the responsibility of staff in our form of government to implement plans that are adopted by council.
Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna treat it almost like the planning board. Is that what you're trying to tell me?
No, it's going to be treated like any other policy of the Township of Franklin. It's my responsibility to implement any of the policies of the council. If the council adopts the plan as it's proposed by the consultant, then it's my responsibility to implement the plan.
So it would be your accountability action.
Like I'm accountable for every other action in the township.
All right. So, and the last thing, just from this township, the public transportation thing I brought up before, is that, and this might go back to Mr. Vornlocker again, is that I just don't understand this, and you have to keep explaining it to me, because I understand the freeholders in the town pays for this dash bus or whatever else is going on, but where it serves doesn't make any sense to me. Like I said, it doesn't make any sense what it serves and where it serves at all, because we have other needs that are actually done. One of the things that's going to come up in the next couple of months is that the Board of Ed, and you can ask Miss Ed actually when he comes up here, is that you can actually ask him that they're going to be going through their zoning reports as far as what they're going to need for transportation. We need to have a conversation with the freeholders to see whether or not we can start using those dash buses to actually help some of these kids get around back and forth to school at all. Because again, with us moving to high school into certain areas and I'm actually having after school activities and trying to get to things, it's going to be kind of difficult. And if you're planning on doing anything for youth centers or anything else, they need actually transportation to actually help out. So I suggest that. But again, you guys are trying to cut my time because of because of us going back and forth. Usually we answer questions at the end, but I will cut it short to just stay on time. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak?
Good evening, everyone. Bernadette Marr, 4 Norris Road, Somerset, also a member of the Franklin Township Task Force on the Compressor Station 206. Again, I want to urge all our council people to register as interveners as well as our community residents. A few points of note listed in the application that I think need to be addressed are that there is 849.2 degrees Fahrenheit exit temperature at the smokestack on the compressor station. Almost 14,000 acres will be impacted during the construction of the project. There will be 2 50-foot smokestacks on the compressor station. The exit flow at the smokestack is 210,000 cubic foot per minute, 13 pounds per hour of carbon monoxide. Compressor stations leak more natural gas and does flow with the wind, contrary to what Williams has stated. Again, the added velocity and pressure of natural gas in a 50-year-old pipeline creates an if scenario, but a when scenario if there's going to be an explosion. So please, this is in the application itself, so please read the application, please register as an intervener. Again, I urge you to do that by April 27th. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak?
Hello, I'm Brian Lee. I live on 108 Kingsbury Drive in Somerset. And I'm also part of the Franklin Township Task Force opposing the compressor station. But I'm here tonight to talk about immigration, and there are a few updates about that. Okay, first I want to reiterate that the Supreme Court decision on Obamacare means that the feds cannot use the threat of funding cuts to push local policy changes. Attorney General Jeff Sessions, in his infamous speech a few weeks ago, he specifically used the terms clawback funding, and the reason he did that is because he knows it's going to be an uphill legal battle. So I hope that would not become a worry. Okay, and one of the other worries I've heard about instituting policies barring our town from wasting our resources to help ICE rip families apart is that passing them would paint a target on the very people we are trying to protect. I've said before that that's not how ICE picks targets to raid, but according to a recent pretty reliable CNN report, I was wrong. ICE is targeting sanctuary cities. Several sources have said that ICE is raiding Travis County, Texas, because of its sanctuary policies. There are 2 reasons why I don't think this applies to Franklin. Travis County Sheriff Sally Hernandez is having a very public and contentious fight with Texas Governor Greg Abbott over her sanctuary policies. That this is national news is one of the reasons that's drawing ICE to the area. I don't see Franklin making national news this way. Another way ICE appears to be picking targets is that they keep a list of how many ICE detainer requests. That's when ICE, without a warrant from a judge, asks local police to hold someone they arrested past the legal limit, so ICE can pick them up later. Travis County, where Austin City is located, ranks near the top of that list. I don't see Franklin competing just because we don't have that many people. One very important reason why we should still go ahead. ICE has limited resources, and the more places that pass policies to protect people from ICE, the harder it is for ICE to use that to pick targets. Conversely, if we let ICE intimidate and divide us, the easier it is for ICE to pick on the few places left. It's like the I am Spartacus defense, or collective bargaining. We stand together, or we all eventually fall. And another important reason not to honor ICE detainer requests, they don't just endanger immigrants. Last month in Kentucky, local police turned Romy Chavez Aguilar to ICE. ICE held Mr. Aguilar for almost 3 weeks in order to deport him. The problem was, he was a U.S. citizen. He tried telling ICE, they wouldn't believe him. He was like a sane man in a mental asylum, and they just wouldn't let him out. And when they finally did, he is now suing ICE. He may actually sue the Kentucky police too. It's not an isolated incident. From 2008 to 2012, ICE has mistakenly detained 834 U.S. citizens. This is bound to increase under Trump. There is no reason for our police to have to risk their funding for ICE. I would urge the council and the mayor to continue working on ways to help mitigate some of the damage the Trump administration is doing to us. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak?
Linda Powell, 22 Buffer Drive. Just to go back of what Brian was talking about, Manager Saber had called me today. She can't be at the meeting. She was trying to email everyone some information about what she calls Sanctuary City, what we were talking about, fair and welcoming communities, and she will do that as soon as her computer crashed. And one of the things she asked about, which I agree with, is that if you are working on a draft policy, that to have it be a draft so the public can actually see it and we can have some public discussion on it. And as probably most of you know, I'm also a member of the Franklin Township Task Force about the compressor station and the Northeast Supply Enhancement Project. And I've read some things from this woman, Wilma Subra, and I woke up this morning and looked at my email, and there was an email about she was going to be interviewed on a radio station. And so I pulled out some of my old information from a couple months back. And I just wanted to, being a healthcare professional, I wanted to let people know one of the reasons why we're trying to prevent this from coming into our community. Besides the 25 known chemicals that were listed in one of her, she's an environmental scientist, and she tries to study not only the individual impact of the chemicals, but the combined impact of the chemicals. And a lot of them are known individually. For example, benzene and formaldehyde are known carcinogens, and a lot of the other things, the small particulate matter, are known what types of diseases they occur with, lung disease, although I was very surprised to realize that they also cause heart disease and stroke. I mean, these are these little particles that we breathe in. But there's so many other things that besides, people know about radioactive radon, but there's also radioactive lead, and the half-life of that is 22 years, and the lead itself doesn't go away. And the acute signs, the signs that people get right away are things like headaches, vomiting, nosebleeds, dizziness, skin lesions, and cough. But longer terms is asthma, lung disease, heart disease, stroke, low birth weight, and birth defects. And one of the things that she was talking about, because she studied these gas compressor stations, is that the pollution that's released and the public health impact is intense for the communities that are near the compressor station. But it's actually all along the pipeline. It's for communities that are further out from the compressor station. And, they want to build this pipeline. This pipeline's coming in from Pennsylvania. It's a pipeline that's been there for many years. So there's, what she called valves and joints. We've been referring to them as welds. Some of the pipes have been here since the 1950s. Others, parts have been replaced. And then they want to build this out basically through Mercer County into Somerset County, right across from Middlesex County, through Middlesex County out to the Bay. And a lot of townships are being impacted. And she said that the joints and valves, the monitoring stations, and the measuring devices all leak this gas. And we know that methane is, of course, a major contributor to climate change, and but all these other things have ongoing and severe health effects. So I just wanted people to know about that. And that's one of the reasons we're asking people to intervene, which means to sign up on the FERC website. We are, thanks to our town manager, Bob Vornlocker, we're putting up some information here that people can get if they haven't gotten it online. There's some handouts here. And for people who don't have computers, we actually have a mail-in form too. There's 2 sheets there. There's a letter, a sample letter, and then there's instructions. On the computer one, please note that there's 3 steps. The first step is to register with FERC. The second step is to intervene, and then you'll get an email back from FERC, and then you have to send an email to Williams telling them that you have signed up to be an intervener. But numbers count. So clubs, organizations, places of worship, individuals, anyone who's impacted, who travels through Franklin, who lives in Franklin, who lives anywhere along the pipeline can sign up to be an intervener, or family members who care about people who are here, who are 18 years of age or over. You have to be 18 to sign up to be an intervener. So I hope people will do that, as time is very short. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Hi, my name is Kristen Erickson. I live at 84 Culver Street in Somerset, and I recently became a member of the Compressor Station Task Force. I just wanted to say, you've already heard a lot of things about how this is going to impact the health of the residents of our community. We need more engaged planning and support. I want to know, how are you, the council, going to be helping us? We're a ragtag group of volunteers. I personally am in way over my head, but I have small children, and I don't want to see our community being devastated and children getting cancer from this. The comment period right now is real, and it's critical for shaping the scope of the project. So this is the time and the forum for us to engage with Williams, and the key is to identify gaps and issues and major concerns or additional requirements in the application. So who in the town is going to be looking at the application and commenting on the application besides the volunteers? There's only 30 days to respond to this application, and it's a huge application, and there's tons of science in it, and we need someone who knows what they're looking at and can make comments so that we can stop this. Right now we have about 500 people signed up to be interveners. If we can get to 2,000, that would make Williams stop and think about how much effort they're going to have to go through to stop it. In the past, I think there's been, they've withdrawn applications. Other companies have withdrawn applications if there have been like 1,600 people. In Chesterfield, I think they had like 12,000 or 1,200. But basically, we don't have enough people that are signing up to be interveners, and we need to get the word out, and we need your help doing that. I'm going to point you to, on the application, when you look at it, one thing that will show you some of the specifications that are just horrifying. Document 28 on page 48, some of the things that people have already mentioned are on there, but we need your support, and I need to know who's going to be helping, because we need to stop it. So, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Good evening. There's a lot have been talked about this compressor station. I just want to paint a picture. These are 2 50-feet high stacks.
Sir, I hate to interrupt you, but you need to give your name and address
I'm
for
sorry.
the clerk.
Thank you, Mr.
Surinder Tiwari, 160 Bunker Hill Road. Thank you. Sorry for that. Just to paint the picture of those 2 50-feet stacks, oozing out 210,000 cubic feet per minute. It looks like what Linden Refinery looks from Turnpike. That's how it will look like. So if you're going on 518 or 27, picture that, and that's how it look like. So do you want that here? I mean, there's enough data, enough, like ladies said here in the application. I think it's our job to fight it out. If we the people means anything, this is the time to show that, and we need your help. I must tell you that I'm very thankful personally and task forces and those who are involved in it, to Mr. Bornlocker, because I think he has taken a lead and all these departments have signed up. Many members of council have signed up. The township, I believe, has intervened formally. That brings me to a point. Many people think that if you sign up as an intervener, that's it. There are 3 steps, like I think Linda said. You have to intervene, and you have to comment and get a response about that comment that you have intervened. So just not be happy that you have intervened and that's it. You have to be sure that your comment has been registered there, and it has to be done by 27th April. So that's something to be kept in mind. One other thing that I want to make a point of is this is the time to get the state legislature involved. I don't think the amount of effort it is required by the state legislature or their involvement has been there. So I do not know if the town, as a town, can approach the state legislatures, but if they cannot, if you cannot as a town, please try to get to them with your influence to legislatures, to DP, to whosoever you can, because I think that's where most of the fight is going to be. The DEP can stop this if they want to, and your influence will count a lot. So I urge you to consider, think about it, because there is no time. There's 15 days left, and we'll really appreciate if this happens. Otherwise, you'll be seeing those stacks just like we see from Turnpike. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else wishing to speak?
Tricia Burton Pillsbury, 29 Abbott Road. I see a lot of familiar faces, a little older, little. I was a teacher in Franklin Township for over 28 years. I moved here because of the environment, had a lot of open space, had diversity, had many cultures represented. And with all the politics going on nowadays, I became frustrated with the idea that a gas company was going to intrude upon our land. I would like our town to fight. And I don't feel it yet. I don't feel it. I see a small group of volunteers trying to get to everybody, and they just can't. So they need your help. They need your support. I don't know what it's going to take, but Mayor Kramer, I need you to stand up for us. I mean, I've done my little tweets to Menendez and Booker, saying, telling them about what's going on here. But somehow, we've got to get something big started. We have a lot of events that are coming up. We have a lot of churches represented here. I have seen big changes in this town. Reverend Soares, he's done a lot. I've seen it. We need to get people to understand how important this is for our future, for our children. So please, I'm begging you, they don't even have money to continue to print out flyers. I mean, they can go to meetings and they can go to events and give out flyers here, but they don't have that money. They don't have a banner, they don't have anything. So I need you to step up, and I'm counting on you. Because I know that you're in this job because you're public servants, just like I was. and I know your heart's in it. So let's save Franklin Township from this gas company. Let's not have this happen to us. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak?
What's he doing with that? Too late, Johnny, too late.
Even if it,
Johnny Tibbet, 25 Parkside, apartment 322. I have that sign there. I'm going to have to retire it, and it's very unfortunate. We have had a sincere servant in Rod Sherman for the past several years, and I want you to understand that we know your heart dearly, and we are sorry that we didn't have another opportunity to run you for mayor, Ms. Sherman. But I guess that's not going to happen. But we do hope that you will continually do the work that you've been doing, and with all your heart. And we want you to know we all love you down the Fourth Ward. And I'm gonna have to retire this sign, but I want you to know that if you run for anything in the world, we're with you. We will support you, dear. You're welcome, man. Secondly, yes, she deserves it. She deserves it. She deserves it.
While to go, Johnny. I'm going to be around to the end of the year, so.
Yeah, I know. And you can still stay and do the regular things you've been doing.
Absolutely.
Yes, ma'am. That's good. Secondly, I have some policemen in the back there, so it's good that they're there when I'm saying this, Mr. Verlacher. We still are in need of a police community relations bureau. There's been many proposals indicating that is a need for the Hampton Street area. You have a building there, but you don't have no direct format for a police community relations bureau. And I'm hoping, Mr. Verlacher, that you will design and make a part of that building a part of the community along with the police department, with Chief Roberts and the rest. Yesterday was the first day of spring break for the kids. And we had our first shooting yesterday. As soon as the weather got warm, the kids got warm. I have indicated several times that we are desperately in need of a summer program. Mayor Kramer have often told us his warm relationship with the Republican Party in Somerset County and with Brian Levine. And we were hoping, Mr. Mayor, that you realize that you have a great opportunity to bring a summer program to the kids, especially in the at-risk area of Fourth Ward. This is about the fifth year I've asked for it, and I'm hoping that this year it will happen. If anything happens down that area, you've been put on notice, sir. Third and most important, we want the Fourth Ward in that area that I live in to have water tested. I don't know if water has been tested down there yet or not, but I have been told that we definitely need the water tested because they think the high level of lead is in that particular area that we're living in. I don't know if Councilman Taste, I don't know if it has been done or not. I know several schools have been done.
Your water's tested regularly, Johnny.
It has been.
It gets tested every month, many, many times during the course of the month, yes.
To the residents in the area?
All of the whole entire water system has many, many tests every month.
Okay.
We're required to by the DEP.
I'll report that back to you, sir. I'll report that back. Thank you very much. And that's basically it. And I'm hoping that you guys will support all the effort that the people in the area would like to see some changes done, and I hope that you support me on that effort. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else? That's a collector's item.
Ed Potosnik, 163 Home Street. Linda Powell asked me to play cleanup on a couple issues related to the compressor station. So first, the folks in the task force want to extend a thank you to the two council liaisons, Councilman Prasad and Councilman Chase, and as well on the intervener aspect to remind folks that if you don't put in a comment now, then it's not able to be responded to or doesn't count for the draft environmental EIS, the environmental impact statement. So that's why this stage is so important, and they make it purposefully sort of tricky and convoluted and complicated. So that's, I think I hit everything. Okay, the other thing is you have an opportunity to send a message that people want action on climate change. And so my role as executive director of the New Jersey League of Conservation Voters, we have buses leaving from our offices at 1370 Hamilton Street straight down to Washington, D.C. on April 29th. They leave really early in the morning and come back pretty late at night. As many of you know, there's a science march on the 22nd, and then on the 29th, that following Sunday, there's a march, or the People's Climate Movement Climate March. And I know Councilwoman Sherman's going to be with us, and a number of others involved with the Environmental Commission in town. And we have a limited number of seats still available. Tickets are $55. They're actually cheaper than it costs us to run the bus, and there's all giveaways, and we'll take good care of folks, our friends here in Franklin Township. We'd love to have you. Anyone you know who might be interested, it'll be a really important day to be unified in calling for action on climate.
Can you just let people know a number to call if they want, they're
Absolutely.
interested?
Yep, you can call 609-331-9922, and you can also visit our website at www.njlcvef.org. So that's New Jersey, Lima Charlie Victory, EF, educationfund.org, to get tickets. And there's only a few left, so I just wanted to make sure folks are aware about that opportunity. And that's it. Thanks. Look forward to it.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else?
Mayor, seeing no one come forward from the public, a motion to close the public portion of the meeting.
Second.
Moved and seconded, seeing no discussion on that. All in favor of closing the public portion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion is carried. Public portion is closed. It is time for council comments, and I shall start with Councilwoman Sherman.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First of all, I would like to make mention of the location of that Somerset facility. I did hear about the senior center, but I didn't realize that attached to that was the adult care center. It's next to the ballpark. It's in Bridgewater. So it's a county facility, fairly centrally located for our community anyway, and I'm sure they have transportation there. So it is next to the ballpark. So if anyone has a need for such a facility, you can reach out to the county. I also wanted to mention that I had the good fortune to be invited to two functions having to do with businesses here in Franklin Township, and how important all of that is to our community. There's an urgent care facility on it's Route 27 and Veronica. They were celebrating their first year anniversary here, and I went and was very impressed. It's a sort of a mini hospital. They do a great job, so we wish them good luck and continued activity here in our township. The other, it was a grand opening, and it's called Forensis Medical Care. It's a dialysis facility. It's next to Planet Fitness on Easton Avenue. That also was quite a large facility, and I had no idea how important and how widespread the need is for dialysis. I guess diabetes and high blood pressure are contributory to kidney failure, and it's become an epidemic, and there are about 6,000 of these facilities throughout the country. and a number of them here in New Jersey. So we welcome them to Franklin. We wish there was no need for it, but we're happy that they're here to help our community. And I think that's it. I did want to wish the members of the Jewish community here in Franklin a very happy Passover. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councilwoman Sherman. Councilman Only Jaka.
Yes, Mayor. The chain between Julie Court and Somerset Mills is up now. So that area has been barricaded. So, and unfortunately, the chain between Dina Lane and Somerset Mills has been removed too. They removed the one in Dina Lane and Somerset Mills. That one has been removed. I don't know who removed that, which means there was still an entrance between Dina Lane and Somerset Mills. So, and I'm trying to have a meeting between the two residential areas, the Somerset Mills and the Julie Court area. I went there today to make an appointment to see the leaders of the groups. So far, I'm still working on that, the mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilwoman Kimberly Francois.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. On the compression station, I had to work late Monday night, so I didn't make it. I didn't make it to the Hamilton Street meeting either. However, you said something that I thought was very critical. If there's a mail-in form that can be printed out and people can go door to door and put it in people's, on their doors, so it sounds like the process would be a little bit less cumbersome as far as getting the word out. If that's available, I didn't ask the question while you were up here, but if there's something like that, in place of going online and doing the 3 steps, to make it a little bit easier for some people that aren't computer savvy, we probably could get to more people by passing out those forms and making that available to some. Give you a call, you said? You have to have 8 copies per form? Oh, is that right? Oh, so they really are making it difficult. Okay. But that's still worth another try. I mean, nothing ventured, nothing gained. So I'd like to pursue that a little bit more, because I think I mentioned I was going to one of the senior groups, and I'd like to be able to give that information out while I do the swearing-in ceremony. Clearly, I heard the plea, and the township does need to do more. And I think what you all said was quite impressive and impacting to me anyway. And I haven't said anything to the manager. I know he's got his departments to send out information, but I'm thinking that perhaps there's more that we can do to explore. Bob, I'm looking at you. There might be more that we can do from a township perspective.
We can talk offline.
Yeah.
To be perfectly honest with you, I think we're doing right now, from a staff point of view, all we can do.
You do think that?
Yeah, we do. If you want to
From
go
the staff?
beyond that, you should talk
Okay.
amongst yourselves if you want to go out and do more beyond.
We'll address it at the admin committee meeting on Thursday. How's that? Okay. But I clearly, this is something that's going to have such a major impact on all of us. And the more we can do to fight it, we have to do that. It'll be here before you know it if we don't. As far as the economic development plan, that plan hasn't come out yet. And I'm speaking specifically to Mr. Guy. It has not been completed, has not been published yet. When that plan is made available, we'll be discussing about what our next steps are going to be. And I did want to at least address the activities that we have for the youth. I know there's been a big concern about what's going on with the BOE and the fact that the school session is going to be elongated. So one of the things that we're doing, and this is one of the things that came from an idea from Councilwoman Rosalind Sherman, there have been quite a few people that have come to the Franklin Township Council and said we don't have enough for our youth. And so the Township of Franklin is currently seeking program details from youth services providers from all over the county, from all over Franklin Township, from nonprofit entities, from commercial entities. And we're putting together a youth Services Resource Guide. And we're compiling that information, and we're going to put that on our website so that people know what's out there in Franklin Township. I happen to be an elected official here. There's a lot that goes on here that I don't even know about. People tell me about different programs and services, and we want to make sure that we compile the information, we have the information available, not just for summer programs, but for all the youth services that are provided here in Franklin Township. A lot of people that move here, they don't know what's offered. There's a lot that goes on in Franklin that, we want to compile that information and make it readily and easily available for our youth. And then also in the Franklin Times, there's about 4 pages worth of information regarding youth and recreation services and programs for the summer. Talks about programs for youth, talks about teen and adult programs. There's another page that gives you how to register for camp, forms. There's brochures for our summer program in here. There's a whole program listing for our summer swim lessons by ages. There's also a page in here about how to register for half-day camps, what's going on in the schools. There's a lot of information in this. There's another page I haven't even gone to. So recreation sports camps, summer camps, and trip registrations and permission forms. There's a lot in here. There's even some information in here about destination discoveries and Forever 51 adult program. So we even take care of our seniors here in Franklin Township. So we are trying to do as much as we can for our youth. We'll continue to do that. And I happen to know that the Franklin Youth Initiative has expanded its summer programs as well this summer. I urge people that are looking for information to go on our website, look at this particular Franklin Times is distributed to every residential household in Franklin Township. So take a look at that and see what's available. And if there's a need out there that we're not addressing, by all means, we're concerned about that, and we want to do what we can for that.
And one other thing you did not mention was the Interfaith Council is working with us. We're going to get that listing out to the houses of worship because there's a lot that goes on in the houses of worship. Some of the things are restricted to their congregants and some are not. And it's not only recreation, it's also social services that they offer. So we're also including that in what we're going to be doing.
That's correct. And their listing has facilities as far as like aquatic centers, country clubs, golf courses, indoor pools, indoor sports, outdoor pools, golf driving ranges. It also has all the prevention services the Councilwoman Sherman mentioned, all the sports activities, a whole listing of enrichment programs, and there's even an opportunity to add any kinds of programs that are below that we haven't even thought about. We went through a whole laundry list of things that are out there today. And so we're urging people that are providing these services and programs to certainly look at the website and make sure you're a part of that listing for the resource guide that we're going to provide for everybody for our youth services. Thank you, Councilwoman Sherman, for that great idea. That was an excellent idea.
Thank you for being a good partner in the process.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Well, it's just a thankful little evening. Councilman Vasanella, thank you for speaking next.
Thank you, Mayor. But all joking aside, everybody's input has been phenomenal. The volunteers, you see a lot of the same faces. And just so people know, this is at the southern tip of Franklin Township, but if anybody knows the geography of Franklin, one of the most impassioned speakers tonight was on Culver. Culver's in the northern tip of the township. So we may be a large township and people may think that they're not affected because something is pretty far away for a lot of us who don't live where the station is being proposed. But it's going to affect your lives, and we commend everyone that's helping, and it's really nice to see people coming from literally every corner of the town to help. The only thing I'm going to ask to add to it, or I guess ask, is if there's pre-approved printed material, and I say pre-approved that our manager and attorney is comfortable with the content, are we legally allowed to provide printed material to the township recognized committee to use as they need or see fit in their efforts? If the manager attorney, I'm not trying to put you on the spot, but is that an area?
I'm not following your question.
Are we allowed to take our machines, our paper, our ink and print approved literature for them to use.
I think that's a decision for council.
Well, I'm asking, are we legally, because I'm going to motion that we do if we legally can, but I always ask the manager and attorney before even considering the motion. No, this would be for the Township Recognized Standing Committee, which Township, I believe some council people and others actually sit on this standing steering committee, whatever they're calling it, task force, I'm sorry.
I'd have to look at it. I don't know. Is it something we by ordinance?
We created by resolution, I believe, or by other acknowledgement here that we had to acknowledge that groups.
My understanding is that you didn't create anything. You acknowledged the existence of that group, and you have two council members who are members of that group, but I don't believe that their standing is currently as a township committee.
If we legally can, we can. I'm just, as I'm listening here, I'm thinking if there's a
attorney, so
little.
you gotta look at that direction. I'm just telling you my
Okay,
understanding.
so anyway, and you don't have to answer right now, understanding, I'm just throwing this out. I just thought of this by listening literally to the pleas that were made here tonight. It just came to mind. But just throwing it out there, because maybe little things like that we can help, and that might make a big difference.
My understanding was this was a township committee. We wanted to give them that status.
That's what I was sensing, Mayor, but again, I'll leave it for the.
I thought that's what we did. Well, we passed a resolution. I
There's a
don't know that we
resolution
passed an ordinance.
that was adopted, appointing the ad hoc committee.
That's what my understanding was, and that's why I suggested that it was a township, but again, I defer to, right, no, well, she's confirming what I think the mayor and I and the rest of us remember, but regardless, I would still want the attorney's blessing.
It's actually not clear to me, Councilman Vasanella, what you're asking for.
I'm asking, can the township,
Resources to actually help them with printed material.
that's it, that if we legally can, and if it takes a council motion or directive, I don't want to jump the gun, but I would be happy to do that, like
And
I
our
said.
deadline is April 27th, or?
For the township to literally provide
All right, so
printed.
this is a little unprecedented, but this is an important subject. I want you, very quickly, I'm asking, who's the most knowledgeable of you here amongst yourselves?
With regard to the needs for printing.
Well, with regards to what we have to do by April 27th.
For the needs for printing.
Right.
What needs to be printed?
How can we help you? So whoever's going to speak, come to the mic. We need to have this recorded.
I thought I heard someone say that they couldn't.
I think it's a great idea to go door to door, but
And
I
state
think,
your name and address.
Linda Powell, 22 Buffer Drive,
Yes.
just down the road a piece. I think it's a great idea to go door to door. I don't know if we have the people power to do that. So what we've been holding like workshops, intervenor workshops. Oh, we also want to distribute the flyers at the school.
You don't have control over the schools, right?
No, we don't.
And that's
but-
something that you would have to
but-
seek permission from the
Right.
Board of Education.
Yeah, I'm aware of that. We've done that before. And that would be
So-
something that might go out mainly online, but, because they do have a virtual backpack with the school.
So if the school were willing to do that and required resources,
Actually, if you want to print them out, you need like something like 10,000 copies. I don't think we're going to print that much.
It doesn't
we
go
are
out to the,
ecologically
it goes
minded.
out electronically to parents.
Yeah,
That's their
that's a
method
virtual
of distribution.
backpack. Yeah,
So you
that
could
would
get
be
that
good.
approval from the Board of Education. And the Board of Education president was just at that podium and is active in this
No, I know.
endeavor. So you should pursue that with the Board of Education president for that
Actually,
purpose.
we have to go through Dr. Ravalli for
I understand, but the Board of Education president certainly has the phone number for Dr. Ravalli.
I think
Okay,
the other
so,
question is, excuse me, Mr. Mayor,
I can't create a new public session.
can I clarify?
Yes, Councilwoman Robinson.
Councilwoman Francois only made a suggestion. So our question to the task force, how can we help? You said printed materials, But she, meaning Councilwoman Francois, made the suggestion about the form, the application, which you need 8 copies of. So if that's not the need, if that's not the most efficient, effective way, then what are those needs? So we're asking you all to tell us what those printed needs are. Is it just a flyer? We don't know. So that's what
We
we're
have
asking.
several different forms. We have the directions for, and some of them are right out on the table out here now. We have directions for intervening by computer. We have directions and a sample letter for intervening by mail. You have to read the directions though, because.
So I don't want to cut you off, but I know the mayor wants to move the meeting along.
Well,
I'm just,
I think you're asking if we need more forms printed, can we use this facility to get them printed?
So what I was going to say, and maybe I could try to wrap this up this way, because I think you'll need to talk and see if there is a need and what exactly is printed material. So I would motion that if it's deemed legal, and I don't want to put the attorney on the spot this second, and the manager, that literature, posters, forms, whatever it is, and you can discuss this after the meeting, that if they deem it's proper and legal, that I'll get a motion to ask the council to then allow them to provide up to X amount to assist you how they see fit in that regard.
That would help.
Okay, and I'll just say roughly, I mean, to me, a few $1,000s, if they thought was going to be helpful to be used, again, as they see fit after communicating to you and clarifying the legality of it.
Well, there's clearly a need for printing materials.
Well,
And
so I'm
we
gonna
can
motion
support you with
to
that.
council that they,
And the BOE
is it-
support.
but just specifically, so our manager always likes to know what council is or isn't asking them to do, that if we can, Mayor, is that okay with you? I think you would like to.
So we have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Council discussion on this. I'm hesitant to have you speak because we are so outside of public.
We would go door to door, and we would go to whatever events within the town we need to do.
Okay, thank you for that.
And we
We'll
want to
also
support
approach the
you on
schools
that.
separately.
Thank you.
You can't do that. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else on council anyone want to discuss the motion? So we have a motion to allow the manager to, or to direct the manager as appropriate and as legal to expend money for copying purposes up to
Agrees.
$3,000.
I'm open to comments from council, but
Councilwoman Robinson?
Know about $3,000. We have to see, I need to understand what needs to be printed, so.
So,
for the-
okay, so
and how
the
much are our
manager
copies?
is
Is
allowed
5
to
cents a
spend
copy?
$8,500.
I don't really need a number. Yeah, no, I just need,
Need to
and
know
I
that
just need,
to know
I
that
got the
we're
legal
telling him to
interpretation
support.
from the attorney.
Yeah.
I'm good.
good
You don't
enough.
even need to take a vote. I'll
Exactly.
do what I have to do to get my
Thank you,
job done
Bob.
and make
Thank
all
you.
of you happy.
No, we're
And
gonna,
trust me when I say it.
we're gonna take a vote, so this is a vote for direction. We
Can I
have a motion
clarify
and a
something?
second. Linda, this is council discussion. Yeah, so actually, if you could take your seat. I mean, we are so outside of my Robert Rule comfort zone, but this is important, so I have broken that. So we have a motion and a second to direct the manager to spend as appropriate and as legally fit to support this cause. If there's this cause in this committee, any further discussion?
Well, Mr. Mayor, I'd just like to make a comment.
Yes, sir.
And that is that the township has no legal right because of us being superseded by the state and the federal government in this issue. So we have had other instances where the township has gone to bat for certain issues, where we've even gone to the Supreme Court of the New Jersey Supreme Court, when it's an issue of that magnitude here in Franklin. And this equals that, and I would say we need to support them in whatever way we can, and not tie our manager's hands with dollar limits, et cetera. Just direct him to do whatever he needs to do
Absolutely.
to get the job done.
Thank
So
you.
if we can move this along, I would just make the correction, it's not that we don't have a legal right, we have no legal jurisdiction.
Right.
But we have a right to complain.
Yeah,
and we
well,
are
the
doing
intervener
that.
did that for
Yes.
us.
So, so all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Motion is carried. Mr. Manager, you have your direction. So, Mr. Vasanello, you start.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Just trying to respond to what I was hearing, and sorry if it got confusing, but thank you again for the efforts. So real quick, things were mentioned, have been mentioned about transportation. All I'm going to say is we need to deal with transportation. I imagine our economic development effort does when it's applicable to their efforts. I know Hamilton discusses it ongoing, because I know, and Mr. Guy, you've been there when it's come up, I think, sometimes. So I'm just going to mention that. I'm not suggesting we start another committee, but at some point, we're going to have to kind of consolidate and collect all of the needs, questions, concerns, et cetera, relevant to transportation, whether it's to do a ad hoc committee, a seminar, a council discussion, but at some point, we will need to deal with it township-wide. But transportation is on the minds of a lot of these committees and boards that deal with the town and the initiatives that are relevant to the transportation and the growing transportation needs. One thing I will mention that kind of came from an Eastern Avenue corridor study. Anybody who goes to Johnson's Park or Rutgers football games may appreciate the fact that part of the Eastern Avenue corridor study included a sidewalk being built from Landon Lane Bridge to Eastern Avenue. And I've been watching it be built now for the last couple of weeks, and it is near completion. So although that's not transportation in as much as public transportation, transportation initiatives, moving people about safely, came from that study 7-8 years ago, and there's been a lot of projects like this that have been one-time expenses that have been slowly coming out of the gate, and I think that's a wonderful one. The ones that involve transportation are ongoing costs, so they get a little bit more complicated because they're not just one-time expenses. Anyway, the Public Safety Committee met tonight and discussed in detail with Senior Police Administration 3, which are here tonight and will be coming forward after the comments to give their annual report. Part of that will be describing and explaining much better than council can do the policies by which they work under relevant to how they handle any interaction with anybody in Franklin, regardless, irrelevant of their immigration status. So I know that's been a big concern and was mentioned here a couple times tonight. But the four of us on that committee, Councilwoman Sherman, Mayor Kramer, Councilwoman Robinson, and myself, all went over this in great detail as much as we could at that meeting, and we are all comfortable, and we only recommend to the rest of the council, but we would recommend that they hear what is going to be explained tonight by the top police administration, and that we feel that that is sufficient at this time. Situation will continue to monitor, but we have full faith in our police force to deal with this issue in a sensitive and a way that I think people would be happy about. And otherwise, happy Easter, happy Passover, and I think that's it, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Vasanella. Councilman Chase.
With regard to something Mr. Guy was asking about, I would comment that the Environmental Commission has been having trouble getting its minutes posted on the township website, and I think other committees of the like that of the township, the minutes that are posted are way overdue. But exactly how do committees send in their minutes to be posted on the website? We've tried communicating with the Director of Information Technology and just haven't gotten any answers back.
The procedure is that they send them to the clerk's office, if I'm not mistaken at this point, although those that have been trained can put them up on the website directly. There's certain committees that do that. I'm kind of at a loss
Yeah,
as to.
there's certain committees that put them on directly. There are some, if they have a staff person from the township,
Right.
that township staff person puts them on.
And who is the
Envir-
staff person?
Mark Healy is your staff
Yeah,
person
Mark
for
Healy's for
environmental, so
environmental.
that's where they should go. And the minute, it's a very simple process, so IT really doesn't need to be involved. All of our department heads have access to all of their pages that they're responsible for on the website, and it's about a 2-minute task to upload the minutes to a website. So it really shouldn't be any more confusing than that.
Okay, good. And I don't think I have anything else, since other members of the council have been covering the fight against the compressor rather thoroughly. We're doing what we can. So thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, sir. Councilwoman Chanel Robinson.
I'm just going to say, I'm not going to belabor the points, the ditto in regards to what we have to offer for the youth, what Councilwoman Francois mentioned. Ditto in regards to environmental, what's already been said, and how we fight the fight against the compressor station. I have been personally sending out to my email distribution list, getting the word out. And I think also that the president of the board, Ed Potosnik, is a good resource, and there's quite a bit of people that are on the task force, when the task force initially started, that have a little more information and in-depth detail, and our 2 liaisons on council are the most well-versed on the topic. So I personally rely on their expertise and knowledge to get the information back, as well as keeping abreast of what's going on and what I can do as an individual and as an elected official. As far as water testing is done on a regular basis. I get the report, and I don't even have township water. I actually have well. But it is done. How often is it done, Bob?
It's done about 100 times a month. It's at various locations all over the town. There's
And
requirements of the DEP to do random sampling throughout the town monthly.
And the report comes out how frequently?
And there's an annual report, but the reports from the testing facility are, 48 hours after the tests are submitted. So the water is constantly being tested. The issues about lead, and I know what was raised by Mr. Tibbs was a newspaper article that recently came out regarding lead that was detected when school water systems were tested, water fountains and the like at various schools. Lead can show up in water not only from the source, but also because of fixtures and pipes and what have you in the schools themselves. And generally speaking, at this point in the history of the supply of water, that's where the lead most often comes from. It's not coming from the water that's being delivered, but coming from something as part of the delivery system itself.
Schools tested, or is that their?
That's the schools testing that, and that's their requirement to do so. All schools everywhere. But there was a newspaper article about some recent levels that were detected in some of the schools here in Franklin Township, and I'm sure.
Right. So the other thing, those of you who do have well water, I would encourage you to test your water on a regular basis. But there is a water fund that the state has, and if there is an environmental issue or concern, I think there's a gas station that's like anywhere from 500 to 900 feet from my resident, and some other industrial entities and businesses. And when there was a potential threat, actually I was contacted to have my water tested, and the state actually did the testing for me. So even if you don't have township water, I just encourage you, if you have well water, to test on a regular basis. And other than that, that's all I have, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Councilman Rajid Prasad.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First, happy Passover and Easter to everybody. I also want to thank the task force for all your effort and work that you've done and Mr. Tiwari in particular, who held a sign-up session at his home this last Sunday. And all those that have already signed up, we need more people to sign up, so please spread the word and let's get at least 2,000 people signed up. On transportation, Mr. Guy, there are self-driving Ubers coming, so it's going to change the world dramatically. We may not even need parking lots, for all you know. So we'll have to take that into our long-term strategic plans. It'll also help with our aging population, elderly people. On the sidewalks, I just noticed that now that we've got a brand-new sidewalk near Landing Lane that New Brunswick has built, ours is starting to look pretty shabby, so maybe our Public Works can spruce that up at Easton and Franklin Boulevard, and just clean it up so that we look good.
So to defend the ward councilman, he already raised that with me, Councilman.
Okay.
And it's actually the county that's responsible, not the township. And I called them because he asked me to.
Okay. Well, we'll blame it on the freeholders then.
Exactly.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you,
Thank
Mr.
you,
Mayor.
Councilman Prasad. Deputy Mayor Carl Wright.
All I have to say, Mr. Mayor, is the Recreation Advisory Council meeting is tomorrow night at the Senior Citizens Complex. That is it.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor. I am an intervener, proud. I did that today. Thank you, yes. And the Joint BOE Council Task Force met a little over a week ago. Main items of discussion were the Consulata Missions property and what opportunities there were for them should they be interested in, and should things go that way. Nothing definitive at all was set up, more of an information session. And I am proud to announce that hopefully by the next newsletter, the front of the newsletter, the Franklin Times, will be the Franklin Times, and the back and turning it over so that it's clear that they're separate will be from the Board of Education. So they'll be able to get more information out at very limited cost, since we are sharing publications and mailing costs. I don't know if Councilman Chase or Mr. Vornlocker is best to answer this. I know the compressor station doesn't have to follow our zoning laws, but I'm just wondering, with the zoning we have, could a factory be built in our town that had the smokestacks with that kind of output under our current zoning?
No.
So our township attorney.
I don't think there's a zone that permits that right now. I mean, we have a,
We probably have a height limitation.
well, we definitely have a height limitation, but I'm just talking about the factory use. I know we have a zone that does allow some heavy industrial
Manufacturing, the
zone.
M1 zone would permit that type of facility.
It would?
It would.
The last one that I remember that was anywhere near that was like the tofu factory.
Right, yeah.
But do they have that kind of output of their?
But you're.
Well, we don't have
So
anything-
we don't have any control over that. The DEP might control it at a local level, but we don't have any, all we regulate is the type of building and the type of
the use.
manufacturing, that the use,
Yeah.
not how much is exhausted through the
Okay.
smokestacks.
You still have
We
to
don't
meet-
regulate that.
Correct.
Okay.
Well, the M3 zone, which is mining, which is the Trop Rock Quarry and ancillary uses, and they have gotten approval for a cement works there involving a smokestack, but it's a smokestack that you can't see from anywhere outside the quarry. I mean, we had a specific meeting with the executive director of the Canal Commission to see that you couldn't see it. I mean, you put up a crane to the same height as the proposed smokestack, and we couldn't see it.
There used to be a smokestack that high, Mr. Mayor, right down the street from your house.
Yes,
It's an empty lot now,
That's
Lori
right.
Rubber.
that's right, Laura.
I watched it get torn down.
Yeah, I moved in a little late to see the tower come down. Okay, and then as far as the children programs, I did detail some statistics in my State of the Township address I gave at the last meeting, so you can check that out in the minutes, and I believe one of the papers also carried it. And that is it for my comments. Together here, Township Manager report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Actually, with all that's been reported tonight and all that's about to be reported by the police department, I think I'll just defer any comments till next meeting. Thank you.
So one more thank you to be expressed. Thank you, Mr. Manager. So the next item is a council discussion item, and if our police force representatives could come up. The item is Police Department Annual Report. They've got a big, heavy box. Strongest guy is carrying it. So we have the Chief of Police, Larry Roberts, the Deputy Chief, Mr. Richard Graham, and the Captain, Mr. Greg Borland.
Be tested on this at the
Grammar.
next meeting.
What'd I say?
Graham.
What'd I say?
Graham.
Grammar?
Mr. Cream.
He's answered to far worse, trust me.
Thank you.
With pleasure. So I'm going to hand it over to the Chief of Police. We can get him some technical assistance. Take it off of, no, we need the mic so that it's broadcast.
Take it from the podium.
At least one of those should.
Take it off of safety.
You have to turn them on, yeah.
Take the one off the
They're just not-
podium.
I want them running until,
That's not, I don't hear that.
Good now?
Yeah.
There you go. Okay, I'm going to start tonight. I know there's people waiting to hear what we have to say about enforcement of immigration laws. I know it's a hot topic. I know I am one of the people that do watch the meetings broadcast, so I know people have come up in the town, told us if it's okay with council and the manager to save everybody time, I'll go over that first, because I know there's some anxious people waiting to hear. We've done just a little back channel. We've done some history on it, and what we could do, what we can't do. We've talked to the manager about it at length, and the deputy chief's going to give a full report on which direction I feel we should go at this time.
Thank you, Chief. There's been many questions, I know, from our elected officials and from our residents regarding immigration and what our policy is. Our policy is set forth by the Attorney General, and under Attorney General's guidelines, many of the concerns and fears that our residents have just are not going to happen. In this state, and I heard some people mention Kentucky and Texas and California, in this state, local law enforcement is not charged with the responsibility of the enforcement of federal immigration laws. So what that means is, if you call 911 and you're in danger, or your house is being broken into, or you need directions, or you have a car accident, or anything, we are not asking you your immigration status. We are not allowed to ask you your immigration status based on Attorney General's guidelines. It is a very set procedure by which we would ever ask someone their immigration status, and for the most part, that is if someone has been arrested and charged with a very serious crime. If you were caught shoplifting, you're not going to be asked your immigration status. If you were driving without a license, you're not going to be asked your immigration status. If you were, so on and so forth. It's a very, very set situation. So the bottom line is the Franklin Township Police Department is going to respond to any call for service, any call for help from anyone, and we don't care what race they are, what religion they are, and what their immigration status is. It's just not going to happen. So the Attorney General's guidelines have been put into a policy that fits with our accreditation standards by our very good friends, our neighbors in New Brunswick. And we have their policy, which we are now putting into our own policy, which mirrors exactly what has always been there, and well, not always, since 2007, I believe this has been the policy of the Attorney General of the state of New Jersey, which is the policy that we have adopted and what we do.
Now, just so to answer any questions, we don't control what Homeland Security does, the ICE division. That's on them. If Newark, their division stations out of Newark Field Division, if they send their agents down to do enforcement, that's up, to them. They're going to, do their enforcement, and they don't even have to tell us. We had an instance probably about 2 months ago where they came in town, they did something, they didn't say anything to us, they just did their own thing, they let us know at the end, no involvement with us, but we can't tell them no. They could come in here at any time. They are federal agents, they are police officers, they can enforce their laws.
But it is very, very rare that they do. I think that was the only time in the last year, and we got a notification after they did what they did. They had arrested someone. We were not notified when, we were not notified what it was for. We were just notified that it happened, and it went off without a problem. They did not ask for our assistance, and that is it. So it is a very rare occasion that we deal with them. Other jurisdictions deal with them much more frequently than we do, but like I said before, our policy is set forth by the state. So,
Mr. Mayor, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I thought I'd ask a question that I think many people may be thinking out there. What is the position of the police with regard to being a sanctuary city?
we mentioned this in the committee meeting that, the sanctuary cities, these are happening in other places where local police are asking people their immigration status just when they come in contact with them. And that is not going to happen here. So the sanctuary city part, the part where we're going to be asking someone their immigration status is because they've been arrested for burglary. They've been arrested
Is there
for
a
armed
benefit
robbery.
to be a sanctuary city?
In my personal opinion, I don't believe so. I don't believe it's going to change anything from how we operate, and I don't think it's going to protect anyone, because we're not out, stopping people and asking them what their immigration status is. That's just not part of our job function. It's not what we do.
That doesn't mean there's not a background that you folks may find that benefits other departments or other divisions of the town. We're just talking from the
Is there a
enforcement end.
downside to being a sanctuary city? Does it become more vulnerable to raids because they have more?
I have seen those
immigrants?
news reports just like you have, and,
Right.
What my personal opinion is, I don't believe there's an upside to it. I don't believe it's going to protect anyone. I think the laws are already there that are protecting them, and we enforce those laws as mandated by the Attorney General. The Attorney General's guidelines, by the way, are online for anyone who would like to read them. You can go on the website and read them and see what it is. I mean, it prohibits us from asking immigration status in a whole host of reasons, except for very specific instances.
And also, just as a side note, I brought up in public safety session for some of them council members that weren't there, enforcement takes a lot of resources. If you're just going to do immigration enforcement, that's why maybe there's ICE. It's going to take a lot of resources. We don't have the resources. I mean, the road comes first. We have calls for service we have to answer. So motor vehicle accidents, 911 calls, it's the last thing we're thinking about is enforcing immigration laws. And it's been that way. It's that policy. It's been, ever since I've been chief, and I was deputy chief. That was the policies, I'm sure, ever since me, Richie, and Bobby have been here, which is almost 31 years. It's always been the same.
I think there's probably some perception out there that that having that sanctuary city status and classification is buying people some kind of level of protection. And I think that's why Councilwoman Sherman is asking the question, just to clarify that.
Yeah.
Because I was under the impression, I'm not part of public safety, but I was under the impression having that classification here would benefit some of our residents. Would protect them prevent them
The
from
laws
being-
are already there to protect them. I don't think that it's going to have a benefit because the laws are already there. We're not, that's not what we're doing. That's not what we're about.
Well, most people don't know that, so I'm glad you clarified that.
Councilman Chase.
What I read about in the press, but really with respect to other states, is ICE asking police to detain arrested persons whom they otherwise would have released for ICE to come and pick them up. Is it fair to say that here that would really be between ICE and the county, the sheriff's office?
Yes and no. Yes, if they were in the county jail on an offense and ICE put a detainer on them, that could happen. You have to understand that under immigration law, there's criminal law and there's also civil. And there can be a civil detainer. And we could say, be doing an investigation and run someone in NCIC. There could be a civil detainer by ICE that just says that their immigration status, that they have an illegal immigration status. We don't arrest or detain on that. We are not allowed to. That is a civil detainer, and that falls within the purview of ICE and the federal government. Now, there is a possibility that someone could be sitting in the county jail on armed robbery charges, and ICE could call them and say, we're putting a detainer on them to hold, but that would not be within our purview.
That's what I figured.
I think a lot of this is, we've all seen a lot of it in the press lately, for either side. And I just think it really comes up to what's the local police department's philosophy. What do they have to do? I think it also comes down to resources. What's your mission? What are your goals? And, at the end of the day, we've always had it. We do follow the community policing philosophy. And, the citizens first. Someone calling for a first aid call, we're not worried about your immigration status. We're going to make sure you get the proper aid and you get help. At the end of the day, it's about preserving life and protecting. It really is.
So I asked this in the committee, I want the public to hear, so you don't detain people, ICE doesn't ask you to detain people currently. How would council know if they started doing that?
I think that'd make national news, Mayor. We've never been asked to do that, and I don't think that we would, to be quite honest with you. When we detain people, it's for a crime. We're in the business of stopping crime. We're not in the business of enforcing a civil immigration detainer.
Thank you. Any other questions on immigration? Undocumented.
I think that was very helpful.
Yep.
Thank you so much.
Sure. No, any other questions, we'll answer any. If anybody has any questions at any time, feel free, through Bob, manager, just let us know. We'll be more than happy to research it or find out. Like I said, the topics. Go ahead.
No, the only thing I'd want to add is if anyone wants to read the directive that the chief and the deputy chief and the captain are speaking of, it's Law Enforcement Directive number 2003. It's on the New Jersey Attorney General's website under police directives, and it has been in effect since 2007. It was instituted by Attorney General Milgram back in 2007, and it does cover all of the issues that the police command staff have discussed tonight.
And I'm just going to make one statement. Many council members have been very energetic on this subject, and I commend them at moving very slowly, and I commend the advice of our manager, who fortunately happened to have been an officer, and the police staff in advising us correctly so that we didn't jump into something that we didn't understand. And I think if the conditions change, I think this council is very ready to take action. But I am proud of the slow method that we have used and the gathering of details before acting. Thank you. You can.
I don't know. Are they allowed to ask us questions or? No. Oh, okay.
Mr. Mayor, just one question I'd like to ask the chief, and that's about this municipal ID cards that people were pressuring us on. It's not a good idea, I was told, because it literally serves them up on a silver platter. And the feds can come in and ask for that.
I've
So-
seen that news report as well, that, would create a database, would create a list, and probably don't want to create that list.
Okay. Just wanted to clarify that for all those that have been coming to us and asking for it. So, thank you.
Continue.
Are there any other questions on that topic? Okay, we have the 2016 year-end report. As some of the things I just wanted to say off the top, it was a busy year, like it always is every year after every year, but it was a busy year. We did get some things in note done this year that I'm proud of. One thing, first and foremost, we were reaccredited for another 3 years for the New Jersey State Association of Chiefs of Police. And I think, like I'll always say, that's very good to have, because that means all your policies and procedures are within the Attorney General guidelines. And me as a chief, I don't think you should be operating outside of the Attorney General guidelines. I think you should follow every rule and regulation that's put in front of you. It also shows that the department, whether it's evidence, logging of evidence, the way we store it, the way our cases are investigated, the policies we have in place for internal affairs, and so on and so on down the line is all in order. So I think as a council, that should make you feel good that we are following the rules that are put forth there.
Good job.
Thank you. Some other things we did, thanks to council, we were able to promote this year, and we've been able to hire and backfill the slots. So hopefully, we do have some people on the job injury and off the job injury, which we can't control. Hopefully, they'll be back to work soon. And we do recently, another thing, Lieutenant Reiner, who now commands the Detective Bureau, the Investigative Division, he is there now. He is at the FBI National Academy. He was chosen usually have to wait 7 years between slots. We were able to get one within a year and a half, and we were able to send him. And it's basically the best command leadership school in the world you could go to, and the Justice Department pays 100% of it. So nothing comes out of the taxpayer's pocket. It's about $30,000 plus worth of training that's done for free.
That's good.
So how does the officer get selected for that?
The officer gets selected for that it comes with rank. You have to be a lieutenant, first of all, to go. And they want a lieutenant, they want you to stay at least 3 years. And they look at what have you done in the past? What divisions have you been in? What ranks have you held? What positions have you done? Whether investigative, patrol, have you supervised the road? And before Lieutenant Reiner, every time when he made sergeant, went to the road, was in the investigative division, went back to the road, made lieutenant, and now came back to the bureau. So he's punched every ticket, done everything leading up to this.
He was the only one contending for that spot?
No, there were a couple of people contending.
I thought so. Okay. Thanks.
That would be he or she, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
It's just I said he, because he is a he. I didn't.
Thank you, Councilwoman. I'm going to leave that alone. Okay, go ahead.
No, sorry. And again, as you can see, we had a busy year. I have the captain here. He does operations along and oversees the investigative division. We had a number of high-profile investigations. I'll let him get into one being that everybody loves to talk about when it comes up in the news, the burglaries that we get hit, whether they're car burglaries or house burglaries, and we put a major ring to bed, so we were proud of that.
First off, members of the council, I'd just like, on behalf of the chief and the command staff, I want to recognize the hardworking men and women of the Franklin Township Police Department. Every year, we have a group of hard chargers that we are very, very fortunate to lead and work with. And you will see as you read through this booklet that is outlined what we call the notables, where you have short blurbs on some of the more notable cases. One of the things I wanted to point out as well, as the commander of the Internal Affairs Bureau, I receive many more compliments about our men and women than I do complaints. And that is always music to all of our ears. Real quickly, to keep it short, we had 2 very notable cases this year. one of which was a burglary ring that the detectives and the patrol officers helped take down. As you all know, in the tri-state area in 2017, burglary, whether it's to auto or to homes, is just a reality of life in this day and age that everyone has to contend to. For all the different reasons, whether it be economic, socioeconomic, it affects everyone. It is something that we are constantly working and combating against. We were getting hit with a certain amount of burglaries. Detectives set up surveillances. We were able to identify possible suspects, working with other towns. We set up a surveillance, and we eventually caught several of these burglaries. We linked it into a ring and ended up rolling up a burglary group that affected at least 7 other jurisdictions and hundreds of cases throughout the state. So we are very proud of that. They did a great job. Another initiative of note that you will find in this booklet, we work with the Federal Bureau of Investigation in a human trafficking initiative. The purpose of the human trafficking initiative is primarily to look for slavery in 2017 in the sex trade. Okay, it is a rampant problem that we put resources into, specifically juveniles. And we work with the FBI. We set up an undercover operation, and we are able to take down, I think this year we made 10 arrests. The primary goal is, if we do locate juveniles, is to treat them in a victim-oriented sense and not an arrest situation. So those 10 arrests were all adults, and those are for either soliciting prostitution, participating prostitution, or controlling a prostitution ring. So once again, it was a very successful operation. We were able to, quote unquote, take a bite out of crime and really help some people possibly escape that life that they've found themselves forced into. With that, I'm going to turn it back to the chief. Thank you.
And just as a note, with that, while it is a big thing, and taking part in those initiatives, last year when we did it, the year before, we had 2 juveniles that were missing out of Massachusetts that were found in a ring when we did this operation. And you don't realize the impact till it hits and you call their parents. And you get, they have limited contact with these kids, and let's put the cards on the table. One part of that business leads to drugs, drinking, so on and so on and so on, gambling, and it's just the underworld. So you want to, when you get the offer to work with the government and they bring in the resources, then it's good that they have the faith in us and we have the faith in them and we work together. I would like to note one thing. We hire and we kept our diversity up in the department.
Did we lose that, Mike?
Oh, sorry, we lost it. Hello? Oh, I got this one. If you look on right before number 3, we take great pride in the diversity, whether it's male, female,
Or other.
or other. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I was going slow, so everybody stood. But and I know you were all here for the promotion ceremony. You could see we also had diversity in our ranks. So it's one thing we take pride in.
And we always say we can do more. We're
Absolutely.
good, but we can always be better.
We absolutely can.
I had to put that in there.
You always do.
I'm on a roll tonight.
You are.
Thank you.
Always keep the process fair, right, Councilwoman?
Yes,
We
indeed.
can always do more.
Yes, we can.
Someone has to have a question for the deputy chief.
Any questions for the police?
We think you do an excellent job.
Thank you.
And we all love,
Thank you.
everybody in the township loves you guys. And thank you for doing what you do for all of us.
Thank you, and I just want to say, if that's going to be on the questions, like the captain said, he stole my thunder, but it's good, he's learning. It is about the men and women of the department, and it's also about having a relationship, and I want to thank the governing body, because, as you all know, I'm on the state chief's executive board, and I get the privilege, if you want to say that, of traveling around the state, and you don't realize how bad relations are. I'm sure Mr. Renaud knows from working in a lot of jurisdictions. You could have some fights there and disagreements and stuff, and here. It's always been good, and we appreciate the cooperation that, you as a governing body give us, and the support that you give us. It goes a long way. And of course, the support we get from the manager. He reminds us daily that, he did work with us for all those years. And we can't pull the wool over his eyes.
That's right. I do have another question that Mr. Guy brought up. I forgot what it was called. Do you have a community office on?
Community Relations Bureau.
Yeah, what is he asking for?
That was Mr. Tibbs, I believe, Mr. Tibbs.
Oh, it was Mr. Tibbs.
It was
I'm
Mr.
sorry. Yeah,
Tibbs.
okay, what was he asking?
Just about the hours.
He was asking if there was community relations regarding, and that's what those
Bureau.
officers are there for, is community relations, and then they work with the Hamilton Street Business District, who is that community and the
Right.
residents in that area.
But
I
instead of
can't tell you
bureau,
how many
what-
times I talk to business owners and residents down in that area. They love those guys. I mean,
Oh,
they're doing a fantastic job.
I remember hearing all those wonderful
and
stories,
it's
but
a so-
it sounded like he wanted something
Well, this has
beyond.
been an ongoing discussion
is
with
that?
Mr. Tibbs, and he has asked for this a number of times. Sometimes I question whether semantics are really very important here. The philosophy of community policing is one that's existed since back in the 1980s. It was originally a federal program, COPS, community-oriented policing. In fact, the very first community policing officer, among the first, is seated at the table, way back when it was Officer Borland, not
And he
Captain
had hair.
Borland. And he had hair.
He
He
put
did.
that in there.
The idea behind police community relations and calling something a community relations bureau is a throwback to the late 1960s and early 1970s, when there was tensions in a lot of the inner cities, and police departments formed what were called community relations bureaus. They have evolved into what is now an overall philosophy really throughout this country and in other parts of the world, which is community policing. I was the first community policing supervisor in this police department. Officer Borland worked for me. And that is what the neighborhood police
And
team
that explains the hair.
makes up. And that explains the grayness of mine, trust me.
And his loss.
And in all reality, what we have here was what community relations of the 70s has evolved to. And I hate to think that there's this thought that the officers who are working in the neighborhood that is the Hamilton Street Business District are not doing community relations. They're doing far more than what community relations was in the early 1970s, when those inner city departments that were recovering from the riots of the late 60s, and that's really the genesis of what is community policing today. So I don't want to get hung up on old terminology here, and Johnny's not here to defend himself, so I won't say he's old. But Johnny's talking about things that were done in the city of New Brunswick, again, in the early 1970s. This town also had issues in the late 1960s and early 1970s regarding riots and race relations, and it was the community relations idea that brought this town to where it is today, and the number 3 most diverse municipality in the state of New Jersey. And so that's really what Johnny talks about when he's talking about Community Relations Bureau. But what these gentlemen are doing and what those officers who work on Hamilton Street are doing is far beyond what was being done initially and back in when they
stuck in the background.
And
they are. Community policing is what it is now, and it's all those things.
And if I could just add, and I will say this as a side note, and he's not here again to defend himself, Tibbs is pretty good at lighting up my phone when he needs something. Let me hear right on there, okay? And you always know it's him, because my confidential aide Judy will go.
Mr. Tibbs is not here to defend himself.
But I also wanted to add one more thing. If all you know, from the Martin Luther King Day breakfast, we just put a new supervisor in the unit too, and it's Sean Hebon. So I think with Sean, when I sat down with him actually 2 weeks ago, we had a lengthy 2-hour conversation about what direction the unit was going to go in. And I think Sean's the right pick, because anybody that knows him, he's very outgoing. He's well-known in the community, known by a lot of people, and I think he'll bring that unit in the right direction. I told him that I want to expand it. I want to make it bigger. Yes, it's the Hamilton Street business, but it should only be. If other groups need help or that, they need assistance with something, we're there to help them. And if we have to add other, people to help out on a temporary basis, we will. But that I want it to be all over the town. I think Sean's the right person. I know some of you know him. He's very outgoing, and I think he'll bring it to another level. So I look forward to a lot of success next year reporting back with that.
Okay, we have 9 second readings and an executive session tonight. Mr. Wright had a question, however.
Small question, and I don't even care if you don't know the answer, but how many lock boxes do we have in the township, say for senior citizens or something where you can check the
Blue
building?
Angel.
The Angel.
Operation Blue Angel?
Yeah.
I don't know the exact number.
Yeah.
But there are many seniors that utilize that program.
Could you just explain so the people that are listening would know exactly what it is?
Yep. So Operation Blue Angel is a lockbox that goes on a person's front door and has the key in it. And that way, if a senior falls in their home or has, seen the life alerts and other things like that, and we get alerted to come to their house, we can get into that lockbox and open their door without kicking their door in. Because it used to be when you went to somebody's house and they collapsed in their house, you had to, damage something, call the fire department to get into their house. This is a program that was enacted a dozen years ago where we provide the seniors or anyone else with a lockbox that the key goes in that we have access to, so that when we get called to their home, we're able to enter their home quickly and provide the service that they need.
And the officers are given the code only when they arrive on location, not beforehand. They don't know the code going in. It's random, kept in a secure computer.
Was there any charge for this?
No, ma'am.
I just wanted to make that clear.
No, there's no charge. And if anybody wants to join, all they have to do is call headquarters, and we send out a community police officer, and they take care of it for them.
Do you have to be a senior citizen?
No, you do not. We're equal opportunity.
Councilman Prasad.
You don't even have to be a man.
Yeah. I was going to say it. You beat me to it.
Councilman
Chief.
Prasad.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Chief, you bringing back the bike patrols this summer?
Yeah, but they're getting trained now. They should be back on Hamilton Street.
Okay, great. Thank you, and to echo Councilwoman Francoise, we can do better as far as the Asian part of the diversity is concerned. So I know you keep trying.
I call them YPD, too.
All right.
So thank you.
Unless there's something pressing, I'd like to move this along. Thank you, guys. Best
Thank you
police
very much.
force in the
Thank you.
state,
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Crane.
Keep up the good work.
except for the deputy chief. We are on to approval of minutes. There are none to approve. Approval of warrants. Warrants in the amount of $1,705,984.70 on April 11th, 2017 are presented to the Township Council for payment. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second. Moved and seconded. Any discussion on the warrants or questions? Seeing none, Madam Clerk.
Councilman Chase?
Yes.
Councilwoman Francois?
Yes.
Mayor Kramer?
Yes.
Councilman Oni Jaka?
Yes.
Councilman Prasad?
Yes.
Councilwoman Robinson?
Yes.
Councilwoman Sherman?
Yes.
Councilman Vasanella?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Wright?
We now have public hearings and adoptions on second readings. We have 9 of these to go through. Ordinance 4187-17, this is the Sterling Point Lighting Ordinance, an ordinance amending the municipal code of the Township of Franklin, Somerset County, New Jersey, more particularly Chapter 236, Municipal Services, Schedule A, Sterling Point. A public hearing is in order. Do we have a motion to open for public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded, seeing no discussion. All in favor of opening for public hearing, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Meeting is open for public discussion on this item only.
Mr. Mayor, see no one come forward, I make a motion, we close.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded, seeing no discussion. All in favor of closing public discussion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion is carried. Public discussion on this item is closed. Do we have a motion to adopt?
So moved.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion on the item? Seeing none, Madam Clerk.
Councilman Chase.
Yes.
Councilwoman Francois.
Yes.
Mayor Kramer.
Yes.
Councilman Oni Jaka.
Yes.
Councilman Prasad.
Yes.
Councilwoman Robinson.
Yes.
Councilwoman Sherman. Councilman Vasanella.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Wright.
The next item is ordinance 4188-17. This is the conservation easement on Weston Canal Road. An ordinance of the Township of Franklin, County of Somerset, State of New Jersey, authorizing the acceptance of conservation easement from PVP Franklin LLC to the Township of Franklin for premises known as Block 516.01, Lot 7.03, 495 Weston Canal Road. A public hearing is in order. Do I have a motion to open for the
So
public?
moved.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded, seeing no discussion. All in favor of opening?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. We are now open for public discussion on this item only.
Mayor, seeing no one coming forward, I motion to close the public portion of the
Seconded.
ordinance hearing.
Moved and seconded, seeing no discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Public discussion is closed on this item. Do we have a motion? on
Motion for
the-
passage.
Motion-
Seconded.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion on this item? Madam Clerk?
Councilman Chase.
Yes.
Councilwoman Francois.
Yes.
Mayor Kramer.
Yes.
Councilman Oni Jaka.
Yes.
Councilman Prasad.
Yes.
Councilwoman Robinson.
Yes.
Councilwoman Sherman.
Yes.
Councilman Vasanella.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Wright.
We now have several bond ordinances. The way towns are required to spend money is, first, we set a budget, then we appropriate money, and then we actually spend the money, and we often have to bond for the money. And so starting with the first bond ordinance, 4189-17, bond ordinance providing for various 2017 capital improvements and equipment acquisitions for the Township of Franklin and the County of Somerset, State of New Jersey, the Township appropriating $2,754,450 therefore, and authorizing the issuance of $2,555,522 bonds or notes of the Township of Franklin, part of the cost thereof. A public hearing is in order. Do I have a motion for public?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded, seeing no discussion on public hearing. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. We are open to the public on this item only.
Mayor, seeing no one coming forward from the public, a motion to close the public portion of the ordinance
Seconded.
hearing.
Moved and seconded, seeing no discussion. All in favor of closing public discussion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Public discussion is closed. We have a motion on the bond ordinance.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. I'll remind council on bond ordinances, we need 6 affirmative votes. Is there any discussion on this ordinance? On this bond ordinance? Seeing none, Madam Clerk?
Councilman Chase.
Yes.
Councilwoman Francois.
Yes.
Mayor Kramer.
Yes.
Councilman Oni Jaka.
Yes.
Councilman Prasad.
Yes.
Councilwoman Robinson.
Yes.
Councilwoman Sherman.
Yes.
Councilman Vasanella.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Wright.
The next ordinance is 4190. This is on road resurfacing, and this is something Councilman Vasanella has championed. So, sir, if you would have the honor of reading the ordinance title.
Thank you, Mayor. And I just want to point out that although we're appropriating or looking to appropriate over $3,300,000, that only only a little more than half of this year's budget is being bonded, and the rest is coming out of capital from our, I'm going to say, responsible fiscal approach of recent years. That being said, ordinance number 4190-17, bond ordinance providing for the 2017 road resurfacing program in and by the Township of Franklin and the County of Somerset, State of New Jersey, appropriating $3,324,000 thereafter and authorizing the issuance of $1,970,300 in bonds or notes of the township to finance part of the cost thereof.
It's hard to read the numbers. It's harder than one thinks. A public hearing is in order. Do I have a motion to open
So
the public
moved.
hearing?
Second.
Moved and seconded, seeing no discussion. All in favor of opening public, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion is carried. We are now open to the public.
Mayor, seeing no one come forward from the public, I motion to close the public portion of the hearing on this ordinance.
Moved and seconded, seeing no discussion. All in favor of closing public discussion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion is carried. Public discussion is closed. Mr. Vasanella, would you like to move the ordinance?
I would like to motion to,
We have to move it and second it before there's discussion.
yes,
So,
I'd like to motion, move this ordinance forward.
do we have a second? Moved and seconded. Councilman Chase.
Yeah, we usually think of spending $2,500,000 each year on road resurfacing. Am I right in thinking that the amount is greater because it includes grant money we expect to get from the
No.
state?
It actually includes the sidewalks as well.
Ah, that's the answer. Thanks.
So who seconded it?
I did.
So would you like to withdraw your second and allow Councilman Wright to second the ordinance?
I was going to say that.
Deputy Mayor Wright, I withdraw my second.
I like the second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion on this item? Madam Clerk?
Councilman Chase?
Yes.
Councilwoman Francois?
Yes.
Mayor Kramer?
Yes.
Councilman Oni Jaka?
Yes.
Councilman Prasad?
Yes.
Councilwoman Robinson?
Yes.
Councilwoman Sherman?
Yes.
Councilman Vasanella?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Wright?
We're on E now, correct? Ordinance 419117, bond ordinance providing for improvements and equipment acquisitions for various parks by and in the Township of Franklin in the County of Somerset, State of New Jersey, appropriating $680,340 from the Open Space Trust Fund, therefore, and authorizing the insurance of 640 issuance, the second time I've said that, issuance of $646,323 bonds or notes of the township to finance part of the cost thereof. A public hearing is in order. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
And a second?
Second.
Second. Seeing no discussion, all in favor of open
Aye.
public discussion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion is carried. We are now open to public discussion.
Seeing no one come forward, I motion to close the public portion of the hearing on this ordinance.
Second.
Moved and seconded, seeing no discussion, all in favor of closing public discussion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion is carried. Do I have a motion on the item?
So moved.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion on the item? Hearing none, Madam Clerk.
Councilman Chase?
Yes.
Councilwoman Francois?
Yes.
Mayor Kramer?
Yes.
Councilman Oni Jaka?
Yes.
Councilman Prasad?
Yes.
Councilwoman Robinson?
Yes.
Councilwoman Sherman?
Yes.
Councilman Vasanella?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Wright?
Ordinance 4192-17, bond ordinance providing for improvements to various historic homes by and in the Township of Franklin, in the County of Somerset, State of New Jersey, appropriating $678,240 from the Open Space Trust Fund, therefore, and authorizing the issuance of $644,328 bonds or notes of the township to finance part of the cost thereof. A public hearing is in order. Do I have a motion to open to the public?
So moved.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing none. All in favor of opening for public discussion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. We are now open to the public. Turn on your mic, please. Councilman Wright has a motion to close
Oh, I'm
the
sorry,
public
it
wasn't
section.
on.
Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Seeing no discussion, all in favor of closing public discussion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Do I have a motion on the item for
So
historic
moved.
homes?
Seconded.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion on the item? Seeing none, Madam Clerk.
Councilman Chase?
Yes.
Councilwoman Francois?
Yes.
Mayor Kramer?
Yes.
Councilman Oni Jaka?
Yes.
Councilman Prasad?
Yes.
Councilwoman Robinson?
Yes.
Councilwoman Sherman?
Yes.
Councilman Vasanella? Deputy Mayor Wright?
It is now ordinance 4193-17, bond ordinance providing for various capital improvements for the water utility of the Township of Franklin and the County of Somerset, State of New Jersey, appropriating $3,143,100 therefore, and authorizing the issuance of $3,143,100 bonds or notes of the water utility of the township to finance the cost thereof. A public hearing is in order. Do I have a motion to open to the public?
So moved.
Second.
Moved in, seconded, seeing no discussion. All in favor of opening to the public, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. We are now open to the public on this item.
Seeing no one from the public come forward, I make a motion, we close.
Seconded.
Moved in, seconded, seeing no one wanting to discuss closing to the public. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. We are now, public session is now closed. Do I have a motion on the item?
So moved.
Seconded.
Moved in, seconded. Is there any discussion on the item? Madam Clerk?
Councilman Chase?
Yes.
Councilwoman Francois?
Yes.
Mayor Kramer?
Yes.
Councilman Oni Jaka?
Yes.
Councilman Prasad?
Yes.
Councilwoman Robinson?
Yes.
Councilwoman Sherman?
Yes.
Councilman Vasanella?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Wright?
Next ordinance is 4194-17, capital ordinance providing for purchase of security cameras, something Councilman Vasanella has pushed for, and soccer goal replacement for open space purposes in and by the Township of Franklin in the County of Somerset, State of New Jersey, appropriating $35,000 therefore to pay the cost thereof. A public hearing is in order. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Moved and seconded. All in favor of public discussion?
Aye.
Seeing,
Sorry.
Public
All
comment.
opposed, say nay. Public hearing, I just said, all in favor of public discussion, meaning, never mind.
Public comment.
It's okay.
We are now open to the public for discussion on this item.
Mayor, seeing no one coming forward from the public, I'll motion to close the public portion of
Seconded.
the hearing.
Moved and seconded, seeing no discussion. All in favor of closing public discussion?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion, I'm sorry. Motion is carried. Do I have a motion on the item?
Seconded.
Moved and seconded. Is there any discussion on the item? Seeing none, Madam Clerk. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. Councilman
This
Chase.
is an appropriation from the Open Space Trust Fund, I assume?
Yes,
'Cause it-
Yes.
Just because it doesn't say it in the title as it did in the earlier one.
yes. Yes. Any further discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk.
Councilman Chase?
Yes.
Councilwoman Francois?
Yes.
Mayor Kramer?
Yeah.
Councilman Oni Jaka?
Yes.
Councilman Prasad?
Yes.
Councilwoman Robinson?
Yes.
Councilwoman Sherman?
Yes.
Councilman Vasanella?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Wright?
Capital ordinance, ordinance number 4195-17, capital ordinance providing for various acquisitions for the water utility in and by the Township of Franklin in the County of Somerset, State of New Jersey, appropriating $316,500 therefore to pay the cost thereof. A public hearing is in order. Do I have a-
Motion for public hearing.
Moved and seconded. All in favor of opening to the public, say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion is carried. We are now open to the public on this item only.
Seeing no one coming forward from the public, Mayor, a motion to close the public portion of the hearing on this ordinance.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion is carried. Public discussion is now closed. Do I have a motion on the item?
Seconded.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion on the item? Seeing none, Madam Clerk.
Councilman Chase?
Yes.
Councilwoman Francois?
Yes.
Mayor Kramer?
Yes.
Councilman Oni Jaka?
Yes.
Councilman Prasad?
Yes.
Councilwoman Robinson?
Yes.
Councilwoman Sherman?
Yes.
Councilman Vasanella?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Wright?
Ordinance 4196-17, capital ordinance appropriating $93,000 from the capital fund to pay for the acquisition and replacement of computer equipment in and by the Township of Franklin in the County of Somerset, State of New Jersey. A public hearing is in order. Do I have a motion to open to the public?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Seeing no discussion on this, do I have, I'm sorry, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. We are now open to the public on this item.
Mayor, seeing no one come forward, a motion to close the public portion of the hearing on this ordinance.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded. Seeing no discussion, all in favor of closing public discussion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Do I have a motion on the ordinance?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Is there discussion on the ordinance? Seeing none, Madam Clerk.
Councilman Chase?
Yes.
Councilwoman Francois?
Yes.
Mayor Kramer?
Yes.
Councilman Oni Jaka?
Yes.
Councilman Prasad?
Yes.
Councilwoman Robinson?
Yes.
Councilwoman Sherman?
Yes.
Councilman Vasanella?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Wright?
So there, we are now on to ordinances on introduction and first reading. The purpose of this is mainly to alert the public of a future ordinance and second reading and public discussion. So this is ordinance 4198-17, an ordinance amending leases with the Meadows Foundation incorporated by amending expiration dates to December 31st, 2050 for the Hageman Farm, Van Loo Sedan House, Wyckoff Garrison House, and the Van Wickle House. The foregoing ordinance is presented for the Township Council for adoption on first reading, posting, and publication in accordance with law on a public hearing and final adoption at our next meeting on Tuesday, April 25th at 2017 at 7 p.m. at the Municipal Complex. Do we have a motion?
Motion to introduce.
Second.
Moved and seconded. So this ordinance, basically, in order to apply for grants, the Meadows Foundation has to have guardianship of these properties for at least, 25 years?
So the state and the county require at least 25 years remaining on the leases on these properties for the Meadows to be eligible for grants, correct, Mr. Mayor?
So this is to allow them to have grants. Do we have I'm sorry, we already have a motion. And discussion, any further discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk.
Councilman Chase?
Yes.
Councilwoman Francois?
Yes.
Mayor Kramer?
Yes.
Councilman Oni Jaka?
Yes.
Councilman Prasad?
Yes.
Councilwoman Robinson?
Yes.
Councilwoman Sherman?
Yes.
Councilman Vasanella?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Wright?
We are on to the consent agenda resolutions. Items A through M, as listed on the consent agenda portion of this meeting, are presented to the Township Council for adoption. Do I have a motion on these items?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
Any discussion, any questions about any items? Anyone wishing any item to be pulled?
Yes.
Councilman Chase.
I have one thing which it relates to item J, although it's not really about item J. I'm told by member of the Environmental Commission, David Triggs, who is DEP liaison to the State Noise Council, that any amendment we make to our noise ordinance ought to be submitted to the DEP. And so this would be the ordinance we recently passed with respect to fireworks ought to be submitted to the DEP. I don't know, they have power over it.
It was mailed to the DEP the Friday after the meeting the ordinance was adopted.
Ah, good. Thank you very much. I'm also told that by state law, the maximum fine for violation of the local noise ordinance should be $2,000, whereas our ordinance says $3,000.
Yeah, we're going to amend the ordinance at the next meeting.
So, I mean, that's a very simple amendment, which probably doesn't even have to go to the DEP, but just, since I was informed of these things, I thought I should bring them up.
And that's why we have a master clerk. Thank you. Any other items, Deputy Mayor Wright?
Just a small one for the township manager. Number M, as in bees.
Bees.
Letter M, I'm sorry, letter M, I'm sorry, letter
It's a
M.
long night, Councilman, I'm a deputy mayor, I get it. So the bees, so that is to permit a member of a study team from Rutgers University to conduct experiments relating to bees on the Negri Napodi open space property.
Any honey, or what are we doing with that?
I didn't get into the type of bees or the nature of the experiments, other than they're coming to look for bees at Negri Napodi, and I guess watch them do their happy dance or whatever it is that bees do.
I think it has, remembering the request, I think it's assessing the variety and number of wild bees present, and she wants to assess this in different habitats. And I think at Negri Napodi, it's actually the part that's grown up from being a field to being cedars. And I noticed that she's added in the Griggstown Grassland Preserve also. Probably has even more of a variety of bees.
Anyone else?
Why did I ask Bob when I could have asked?
There you go, the man's right next to you. He's got all the answers for that.
Thank you. Councilman Chase.
Thank you, Councilman Chase, and just to inform the public, no bees have been harmed in the making of this council meeting. Any further discussion? Seeing none. Madam Master Clerk.
Councilman Chase,
Yes.
Councilwoman Francois,
Yes.
Mayor Kramer,
Yes.
Councilman Oni Jaka,
Yes.
Councilman Prasad,
Yes.
Councilwoman Robinson.
Yes.
Councilwoman Sherman.
Yes.
Councilman Vasanella.
Yeah.
Deputy Mayor Wright.
Yes.
We have no resolutions to be voted on separately. Old business, does anyone have any nominations for boards, commissions, and committees and vacancies, et cetera? Hearing none, we are on to executive session. Resolution 17-140, authorized executive session personnel. Township manager evaluation is presented to the Township Council for adoption. Do we have a motion to go into executive session?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion on this? Seeing none, Madam Clerk?
Councilman Chase,
Yes.
Councilwoman Francois,
Yes.
Mayor Kramer,
Yes.
Councilman Oni Jaka,
Yes.
Councilman Prasad,
Yes.
Councilwoman Robinson,
Yes.
Councilwoman Sherman,
Yes.
Councilman Vasanella.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Wright.
Yes.
Thank you. At this time, the Township Council will adjourn to the executive session to discuss personnel township manager evaluation. No other actions will be taken by the council at the conclusion of the executive session. Therefore, the recording of this meeting will now end. Have a good night. We are going to executive session. Be well, Franklin.